like, I was getting shot at. It's like, I can't imagine, I was just talking about lack of empathy. I can't imagine being in a situation where I'm on television and I'm saying things that are so removed from the truth.
Right.
Like, I can't wrap my head around that.
Well, Hillary did the same thing.
Well, she's a congenital liar, as she was referred to by the New York Times back in the day. But,
and rightly so, but people forget this. She did talk about a firefight that she was involved in.
I was under sniper fire. And the worst thing about that people didn't give a shit about, she said when she was in Bosnia, she was under sniper fire. It's like, wait a minute. You're throwing the Secret Service under the bus. Because what kind of Secret Service is going to let the First Lady run under sniper fire? And she just basically did a double talk around that. But she's got a lot of whoppers in her name. She said she was named after Edmund Hillary, even though he climbed Mount Everest after she was born. So she's amazing. I love that woman. I love her so much. She's the funniest person on earth.
She's a scary lady.
She's like a slinky. She's always falling down the stairs.
Ah!
Yeah, she's the human slinky.
How dare you?
Yeah.
It's an odd duck. It's one of those things where women want a woman to be president so bad. They want one for the team so bad. And then there's so many people from the left that think she has the best chance of beating Trump or whoever is on the right, that they want her so bad. They're willing to exonerate her from so many different horrendous things. And one of the things I always point out, like, people want to talk progressive. You want to talk, being left wing, and she didn't even believe in gay marriage until 2013.
The best part was she was on NPR, which is this far right fringe organization, right? NPR, Terry Gross. And Terry Gross says, you used to be against gay marriage. Your husband passed DOMA, which made it a federal law that gay marriage won't be recognized by the federal government. And you changed your position. Like, how did that happen? Was it because Americans became... And Hillary's like, well, America changed their point of view. She goes, no, I understand Americans changed their point of view. What was your mental process? And she goes, no, Terry, you're saying that I changed my mind for political purposes, and that's not true. And she starts yelling at her, and it's like, holy shit, you're on NPR, and you think they're too right-wing for you because they're calling you out on your bullshit, you fucking loon. But the worst part is I had Juanita Broaddrick on my show 2 weeks ago, and she's the one who accused Clinton of raping her. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, who's worse, Clinton or Hillary? And she said Hillary. She said she's the one who knew what was going on and let him get away with it. So that was scary to hear.
Wow. The thing that got me was when they were confronting Bill recently about Monica Lewinsky, and they asked him, do you owe her an apology?
Right.
And he was like, if anybody thinks that I got out of that free, you're crazy. Let me tell you something. I left the White House millions of dollars in debt.
Yeah, and they stole the furniture, and they had to return it. Do you remember
stole
that?
The furniture?
Yeah, they looted the White House. They had to return all the shit they stole.
Come on.
There's a book called Final Exit written by Barbara Olson, who died in 9/11, and it's all about they fucking stole everything.
Really?
All the staff also popped out all the W's of the keyboards, so the George Bush office people couldn't use them. Yeah. They went out there like assholes.
Oh, they popped all the W's.
They popped the W's, yeah.
That's actually kind of funny.
That is funny.
That is actually kind of funny. That's a good little fuck you.
Yeah.
But the idea that this guy would, especially in today's political climate and dealing with Me Too and all the various scandals that have been going on, rapists exposed, that this guy who, if all that shit was going on today, would likely either be under indictment or at the very least under heavy investigation for sexual assault. But because it's so long ago, it seems to be like this weird sort of gray area. That he's saying, I don't owe her an apology. If anybody thinks that I wasn't punished, like, you weren't punished. Like, you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars now. How? How are you worth so much money now?
One of the greatest things I remember at the time, this has been forgotten. The press likes to throw this under the rug, sweep it under the rug. They said at first that Monica Lewinsky was a stalker. All of Clinton's goons would go on the news channels at the time, say she's a lunatic, she's a stalker, they never had an affair. And you're sitting there, she's like 23. How the fuck do you stalk a president? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If it wasn't for that dress, let's keep that in mind. If she didn't have physical evidence, nothing would have happened to him, and she would be regarded as a loon to this day, and she'd be a complete pariah. They were ready.
She would have never went public with it. It was that other lady that forced her to go public.
No,
with it.
Ken Starr found her, and he subpoenaed her.
Yeah, but it was because of that woman,
Linda Tripp.
Linda Tripp,
yeah.
Right? It was her coaxing her
to keep the dress.
Yes. But not just keep the dress, but go public with this and talk about.
She was outed by Drudge. Remember?
Was that before that? Before Linda Tripp was doing all this?
Linda
I thought
Tripp-
Linda Tripp was coaching her through the whole thing.
Linda Tripp was coaching her privately. This was all private. Drudge broke it because the press wasn't covering it, and they didn't know what to do because this is a big moment in internet history where they're like, this website is revealing information, and now we're going to talk about
But
it.
I thought that was also coming from Linda Tripp, and I thought Linda Tripp was taping the conversations.
Linda Tripp was taping the conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I know Drudge was the one who made all this shit public. Maybe she was being subpoenaed privately.
I thought she was going to Drudge and she was leaking information. I don't know.
Is that true? Can you look that up?
About that.
I don't think Linda Tripp was leaking to Drudge. Or maybe she was. I don't know.
I thought the story was, I don't know though. I thought the story was that she was coaching Monica Lewinsky and trying to get her to go public with it.
That's possible,
Yeah.
but Monica didn't go public. Drudge forced her out of the closet.
And she also did it without Monica's consent as far as the recording.
That was true. And she went to jail for it, didn't she? Or she was at
think
least
so.
arrested.
Something happened.
Yeah, she was at very least arrested for recording without consent.
But my point was like him on television, like the lack of insight, the lack of objectivity is a lack of personal objectivity. That he's getting asked this question, do you owe her an apology? That he can't say, look, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done it.
Right.
It was a bad thing to do, and especially a bad thing to do to a 20-year-old girl and have her exposed like that.
Who was close to my daughter's age.
Yeah, and for him to not say that, there's like some serious sociopathic shit involved in that.
He's never, I mean, that's his MO. He never ever, well, also, if you're apologizing, you're probably legally culpable, right? Because they were going to get him for perjury.
Right.
So an apology is an acknowledgement, possibly, from I mean, they pulled his legal license because of this. That was part of the deal when he
Yeah.
left the White House.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, the whole thing's a mess. And then when Hillary's asked about it, was that some sort of abuse of power? She's like, no,
because they're adults.
Monica Lewinsky was an adult. She was in comparison to him.
But it's
he's
also
a
like
fucking president.
So
man.
the only time there's an abuse of power is when children are involved.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck are you talking about?
That is crazy.
That makes no sense.
But not only that, that is the biggest is the between an intern and the leader of the world.
Right.
I mean, there's no bigger gap.
Right.
Forget about like studio executive and actress. You know, like that's tiny in comparison to the leader of the world and an intern.
And at the time, all the feminists ran interference for him. The only one who did it was the craziest one, Andrea Dworkin. And she goes, we know he's a rapist, vis-a-vis Bernita Broderick. We know this was sexual harassment, sexual harassment, and everyone's covering for him. And you guys are being complete hypocrites.
It's crazy. It's crazy that they're willing to do that. It's really
That's tribalism.
I know, but it's so fascinating when you see it so blatant.
Yeah.